Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. This is going to be a video response to Matthew Smith, his I think 100 subs contest, I believe. Haven't watched it. I watched it a couple days ago and haven't gone back to it yet. But he had a really cool question that he put out there where he was basically talking about how, through his experience in the VC, one genre maybe that's not touched on as much as some of the others on a regular basis is funk and R&B, which definitely there's people in the VC, that, myself and a number of others included, that have shown and shared that. But yeah, he's definitely right. It's probably the one of the genres that's touched on the least, if you will. So he had a great idea of just kind of saying, share some of your favorite R&B and funk artists, and just to kind of touch on that genre a bit. So I'm definitely going to jump on board and do that for him. So let me kind of jump right into things here. And what I tried to do here too, I have a few in here, but I tried to cut out a ton of mainstream artists. Your Ray Charles, and I say James Brown, even though I threw a James Brown record in there. But I tried to go with things that maybe I haven't shown in videos recently, or maybe they just aren't as mainstream as some others. But again, you'll see I do have plenty of mainstream artists thrown in here. And I mainly stuck to the 60s and 70s with this one because it's hard for me to limit it. So I'm probably going to come back later and do a video with some of my favorites from the 80s and also some of my favorites from the 90s, so kind of a three-part response. I've also recently received some very awesome VCLT, and so I'm not mixing up genres. I'll probably put that in my next video that I post here too, but I want to make sure I give out a huge thanks to actually Scott. That's who it was that sent me some awesome VCLT, so I want to share that with the VC and show you the awesome stuff he sent over. So let me kind of start off what's playing in the background here, which is Cain and Abel. This is one I think I might have seen one other person in the VC share this album before, but as you can kind of hear in the background, you can tell by their clothing too, gives you a perfect idea of what you get from this album. Just kind of some groovy, funky type of stuff. Really awesome stuff to kind of kick back to. So that's a really good album. This is kind of a mainstream artist in the R&B world, but I had to pull out at least one piece, which is Roots by Curtis Mayfield. My favorite album by him is, There's No Place Like America Today, which I showed that in a video recently in a response to Robert Z's thread. But yeah, Curtis, that just one smooth brother on the microphone right there. That sassy, high-pitched voice, and just, he wrote some great stuff. And of course, you remember the soundtrack Superfly and all of that. Freddie's Dead, Curtis Mayfield. Here's another one I don't see talked about as much in the VC. Billy Paul. And this is War of the Gods. His more popular mainstream song, which is off his other album, and it's totally slipping my mind, the title of it. But the song Me and Mrs. Jones, that was a big hit for him back in the 70s. So this is his 1973 release. And again, just kind of some unique stuff that he does. One of my favorite bands from the late 70s or early 80s, Rolls Royce. This is In Full Bloom. Now, most people know them from, just in general, the soundtrack from the movie Car Wash, such as Working at the Car Wash. Everyone kind of knows that song. But one of their biggest hits, which is probably my favorite song by them, is Wishing on a Star, which is on this album. Smooth, 80s R&B type of groove. Now, granted, this came out in 1977, but it was, in my mind, that smooth late 70s, early 80s R&B groove, and I love that song. Stuff like this, and I Want to Get Next to You, and all that. Just great R&B songs. David Ruffin, My Whole World Ended. And most people know him more so from when he was the lead singer of The Temptations. That very unique voice has just never been able to be duplicated. So yeah, he's obviously known for Ain't Too Proud to Beg with The Temptations and all that, their early stuff when they became the Temptations, the superstars they were. But sometimes his solo career, after he got kicked out of the band, gets a little lost. But he carried that same voice with him, so that's a great album. And of course, talking about R&B, you have to have the staple singers included in there. That great mixture of R&B and gospel and a lot of things they did. Respect Yourself, I'll Take You There, you know, We the People, all kinds of great stuff. And another mainstream artist, but one I wanted to show at least one piece by, Diana Ross and the Supremes. This is Reflections. You know, my two favorite songs by the Supremes are, number one, Come See About Me. I think that's probably their greatest song of all time. And in my mind, one of the greatest jukebox songs of all time. I'm sorry, hold on one second, guys. That light was killing me a little bit. There we go. So, yeah, I had to have them included inside of the conversation here. You know, Come See About Me is one of those songs where if I ever envision or flash back to thinking, not flashback, I wasn't alive, but, you know, back in the 60s, going into a soda shop after school with your friends and, you know, getting a root beer float and a song pops on the jukebox, Come See About Me is the song I hear coming out of that jukebox when I envision that type of scene. But yeah, this is a fantastic song, but Reflections is definitely my second favorite hit by the Supremes. Just such a great combination of R&B, and yet, even though it may not be that clear, there's this deep psychedelic thing that's hidden inside of it, which, you know, a lot of people were kind of playing around with that back in the 60s, late 60s, which you can even see by the cover there. But yeah, Reflections is just an awesome song. Larry Graham and Graham Central Station. This is one I don't see too often mentioned in the VC. I mean, again, just classic artist, classic group. Weird looking dude. He acts weird. When he sings, he looks weird. He always wears the strangest clothes. But get him a bass guitar and a microphone, and he will get you up and dancing. I mean, this is just classic R&B right here. One of his bigger mainstream hits, I think, was a song "One in a Million," which he released, I think, in the early 80s or something like that. Really, really cool ballad. But yeah, you got to give props to Larry Graham and Graham Central Station, which really have a connection with Sly and the Family Stone, because of course Larry Graham, you know, playing and everything, but Sly and the Family Stone, you got to give them props on this. Soul, funk, R&B, whatever you want to call it, it's all on this Greatest Hits album. And quite frankly, song for song, this is probably one of the greatest, I'm not going to say necessarily R&B albums, which I think you can kind of make that argument, but what I think about with this album is, this is one of the purest, what's the word I'm looking for? When you think of, when I should say, not you, when I think about the concept of music, you know, just like all of these different elements coming together, not necessarily to be metal or to be R&B or to be whatever, but just kind of the celebration nature of music, if maybe that kind of describes it. This album is the epitome of that to me. I mean, there is just such a, I don't know, it's just so heartfelt. It's so, there's so much joy encompassed in it. There's so much togetherness encompassed in it. There's so much just kind of get up and dance incorporated. So it's just all those elements of just music coming together in such a pure form to me, which is why I love and respect this album so much. Especially when you listen to songs like, you know, Dance to the Music. I mean, that's just exactly it. That song was made for one thing, that's to tell you to get up and dance to the music, and it's just, oh my goodness. Love it, love it, love it. I can't say enough about that album. The Baby Huey story. Probably not one that's as known, but again, just kind of one of those artists I stumbled across a number of years ago. He does a pretty cool cover of Sam Cooke's A Change Is Gonna Come, but just kind of does his own thing. Definitely a very, very, very unique artist. So check him out if you haven't heard Baby Huey before. Everybody knows this man. I mean, Mr. Al Green himself, one of the godfathers of soul music, gospel and soul. Don't have to say anything about him except he's great. Same thing about the Queen of Soul, Aretha. I don't have to say anything about her either. Another band that I like continually gets its props for what it did for R&B music, which is Earth, Wind and Fire. And this goes back to what I was saying about Sly and the Family Stone a minute ago. One of those bands that really just shows the beauty of music throughout their entire career. BTO Express, baby. Do it till you're satisfied. Enough said. One of the funkiest tracks ever. But yeah, great R&B band. I think this came out in '74. And this next album here, I've always loved this because I think the song Best of My Love from The Emotions is definitely one of my top 5 funkiest grooves ever laid down on an album or song ever. Is a Best of My Love. That's just the perfect track. And so I got that blah blah. Definitely have to throw my girls in there. The Drifters, another band I haven't seen mentioned much in the VC. I love this old Atlantic cover too. That's pretty cool. But you know, songs like There Goes My Baby and all kinds of classic stuff from back in the day. So I thought that'd be a good one to share. And in my mind, an R&B collection is not complete without having something by the Delphonics. Gotta love it. Again, just smooth R&B group. 60s, 70s, I think. Early 70s, I think, really is when they came out. They had a lot of stuff on the charts, like 70, 71, somewhere in there. But stuff like La La Means I Love You, Did Not Blow Your Mind This Time. What's another one that's on here? It's pretty good. What am I thinking? Did Not Blow Your Mind This Time, La La. Oh, Ready or Not, Here I Come. That's what I was thinking about. I mean, great stuff. A must for any R&B collection. Of course, this guy goes without saying. I mean, James Brown, one of the probably the most mainstream R&B artists out there. So, gotta mention James. War. This is The World Is a Ghetto. Awesome stuff. Again, when I kind of go through that whole thought process about a lot of different elements of different backgrounds and so forth coming together to make just music and the spirit of music, this band definitely encompassed what that was about too. And they truly had a lot of different backgrounds that came to the table and just came together to make great music. And a lot of different songs on here. What's the Cisco Kid tends to be one a lot of people tend to know. Four Cornered Room is one that I really like. But of course, The World Is a Ghetto, the title track, is also a fabulous song. But yeah, another album that should be inside of every R&B collection. And last but not least, the man himself, Sam Cooke. Greatest R&B artist of all time, in my opinion. And again, you guys know how I have such a hard time making statements like my 10 favorite R&B albums, which I can never do, or my 5 favorite this, or whatever the case may be. I can never do it. But the one thing I could always say is I think 2 of the greatest recordings of all time is Sam Cooke, A Change Is Gonna Come. Definitely one of the greatest recordings of all time. And Bring It On Home, I think it's probably the #1 greatest recording of all time. What he and Lou Rawls did in that album is just R&B perfection. So I had to show Sam, even though he's one that a lot of people probably know as well. So anyway, there you go, VC. There you go, Matthew. There's my response, at least with the 60s, 70s portion. Like I said, I'm going to come back and probably do one strictly for the 80s and also do one strictly for the 90s too, so I can squeeze in everyone I might want to mention. So my oven's actually beeping, so perfect timing. Got to go get that out of the oven. So as always, thanks VC, thanks for watching. I'll be back real soon for VCLT, thanks, and then also those other 2 videos. All right, take care, guys.